This interview was conducted with the intent to educate, inspire, and motivate marketing graduate students. Wilbur Hilton, president of No Risk SEO, shares his advice on career paths and choices within the marketing industry. Hi, Wilbur. My name is Anna Castillo. I really want to just thank you for the opportunity, taking a few minutes. I know you're super busy to do this interview. The main purpose of this interview is just to give marketing students like the opportunity to prepare themselves for agency life. You know, what do you do after you have this degree? And I just feel like you're the perfect person to give advice to anybody. So if you don't mind, just introduce yourself. What do you do? And a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, of course. Thoroughly enjoy, doing this interview with you. So my name is Wilbur Hilton. I am the owner and the founder of a digital marketing agency called The Marketing Cartel. It used to be called No Risk SEO, and I rebranded it last year during the pandemic to have a more encompassing full digital marketing agency feel. I got out of school in 2004 and moved down to South Florida in 2000 and beginning in 2006. And my very first job was working with a digital marketing agency. So we're looking at about 15, 16 years now. By about 15 years, I've been in the industry, and I started my agency 9 years ago. So, it's an industry that I'm passionate about. I love all things digital advertising, digital marketing, lead generation, e-commerce, web development, mobile applications, content copyright, anything, email marketing, CRMs, technology. I've had a chance to work with some of the biggest brands in the world, Sandals, La Playa, Hyatt, some of the different resorts. I've worked with very large e-commerce businesses, some of them spending, $250,000, $300,000 a month. Worked with very large addiction rehab facilities across the country, some of them spending $500,000 a month. So, I've had a great opportunity to meet a lot of successful businesses and work with a lot of different projects, which gives me experience and insights into different facets and aspects of digital marketing.
Yeah, perfect. I think it's awesome, all the experience that you have. That's one of the main reasons that I asked you to do this. What advice would you give graduate students like myself? Where do we start? How do we gain the necessary experience? Do you recommend agency life, freelance work? Just where do you start so we can get to where you are?
So that's a two-parted question, right? What kind of advice would you give is one question, and then, where to start. So the first thing I would ask myself is, do I have the entrepreneurial spirit? Do I have the entrepreneurial drive, right? Because, as a marketing expert, you might not want to run your own business, or you might not want to be a independent consultant, right? And so living or, working in the agency environment as an employee might be your best approach and best route. And there are some huge world-class organizations, agencies out there, and there's small mom and pop agencies, and they're both going to have their pros and cons. So the first thing I would ask myself is, do I have that entrepreneurial drive to either want to start my own agency, work for myself, be a freelanced, consultant? And even if your answer is yes, then my advice to you would be, go work with an agency, right? You can't be successful. You're not going to know the ins and outs of an agency, the challenges that an agency encounters every single day, if you're not working inside of an agency to learn from said agency, right? So even if you've identified that, yes, I want to be a consultant, I want to have my own agency, I want to be a freelance, my advice would be, get with a really good company that is going to allow you to learn a bunch of different facets about the industry, and about that position.
I mean, I think that's a really good point to know. In marketing, you have those options. You can be your own boss, or you can be an employee, and you can be really successful within a company. I think I have that entrepreneurial spirit where I want to run my own business. I want to open multiple businesses. So that's why I really do admire you and the work that you do. I think that you worked really hard to be where you are. So I really like that you offered those two perspectives. Throughout my journey in this master's program, my professors have always stressed the importance of establishing a personal brand. Could you provide feedback on this? Do you advertise marketing cartel, your business, and then your personal brand? Do you mesh the both? I feel like I struggle with that. So I think that there's a lot of other, colleagues and peers that probably have that question.
Good question. And I think it's a pretty straightforward answer. If you are a consultant, right? If you are a freelancer, if you are, a solo entrepreneur, there really is not a brand to market, right? You are the brand. You are selling yourself. And I think your personality, your expertise, your ethics, your morals are what's going to convince a client that you are that right person to hire to do that work for. If you're an agency, then I do believe that, creating that brand is important. But at the end of the day, I think agencies can be split into two buckets. You have, your small to medium size agencies, and you have your larger agencies. Your small to medium size agencies generally are going to start from you, right? They're going to start from your own passion, your own experience. So once again, it goes back to you are selling yourself. And I don't think your brand is as important as it is yourself, your personality, your experience. As you become a larger agency, maybe you get capital investors or you have wild success as a small to medium sized agency, then I do believe selling that brand, building that brand is absolutely critical, because you've always got to have an exit strategy. You get into business, especially as an entrepreneur, to be able to build something up of value. And then ultimately, you've got to find a way to monetize off of that value and have an exit strategy. And by building that brand, it allows you as the entrepreneur no longer to be the central focus of that business. And so if you were to sell that business, you are not what's most valuable. The brand is what's most valuable. So I would say, the answer to that is, yes and no. In the beginning, regardless if you're a consultant, entrepreneur, or a small agency, I don't think selling the brand is important as selling yourself. If the agency becomes larger, if you're not going to be an agency, maybe an influencer, there's different aspects. I don't think there's a yes or no to the question.
No, agreed. I agree. I really appreciate that feedback. Like I said, I do struggle with like the influencer side, my business. So I'm in like a path where I'm trying to figure out like how to market myself as a person, as an influencer, as a business owner. So I think that being unique in that sense is a selling point in itself. I guess my last question for you, Wilbur, is, since we are leaning more towards the entrepreneurial spirit, what advice do you have on leadership? Just overall, I know that you lead an amazing ship of a beautiful, helpful people. So I think that in my eyes, that's the where I'm guiding this content to people who want to be entrepreneurs, who people want to learn more, who can apply these concepts to their own business or influencer marketing strategies. What advice do you have on leadership?
There's two main things I always preach and teach to people that want to be successful in this industry. Number one, absorb yourself into the industry and learn as much information. People are very specific in what they're experts in, right? So they're experts in social media, or expert in paid advertising, experts in web development, experts in, in lead generation or e-commerce. People tend to be experts in specific niche areas of digital advertising. My advice would be try to be all encompassing. I don't think you need to be an expert in one field, in my personal opinion, as to, have a good baseline understanding of all things digital advertising. And the way that I do that, every day, I spend time watching YouTube videos. I spend time going to Skillshare and other online learning platforms. Every day I go to websites with blogs that are relevant to my industry. Two of the blogs that I read every single day, and I learn so much information every single day. One of them is ahrefs.com, and the other one is SEO Power Suite. It's called Link Assistant, and both of them have their own blogs, and they produce a blog every single day about all things digital marketing that I can learn so much about. So YouTube, blogs, always learning new things, because this industry changes so fast. It's constantly evolving. Technology is evolving. Regulations and rules are evolving. I would absolutely spend time constantly learning, every single day. And then the second thing that I would give advice for, and I think this is really, really important, and the thing that I've found and I've struggled with, still struggle with today, is not being my own bottleneck. And what I mean by that is there are so many moving parts in digital advertising that if you are the sole entry point and exit point of all things that you do, it becomes very difficult for you not to stand in your own way. It becomes very difficult for you to be able to manage so many moving parts that myself, I become the bottleneck. Everything has to flow through me, right? If it's employees, if it's clients, if it's projects, if it's learning new strategies, if it's billings, invoicing, customer service, it's very difficult for, myself to relinquish those controls because I always feel like I can do it best. But at the end of the day, if you keep that mentality, you become the bottleneck and things just do not move in an efficient manner. So I would say, from a leadership standpoint, really train, mentor, and create processes that will allow the people around you to be, free to be able to have that flow of information, processes, communication, so that way everything does not have to flow through you and you don't become that bottleneck, which ends up causing problems for yourself, for your agency, and for your clients.
Thank you so much, Wilbur. Solid information, feedback, help. I really hope, I think that you're going to help a lot of grad students with the information you've given us. And I hope to stay in touch with you soon. I really appreciate your time.
We will. Pleasure talking to you.